easy, me so welcome to the Tempest Universe. Manny, today's special, probing with fried rice.
China.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
It's China to me, China.
Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside.
China.
This is the Tempest Universe, man. Hold on to your ass. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Welcome to Tempest Universe. I am your host, Manny, and my head's a little crazy here. Man, today is President's Day of the United States, so I have time during the day to put this podcast together. Usually do it on Sundays, but I was like, let me just dedicate a daytime episode of the Tempest Universe for folks to, dig into it while they're off on President's Day. It used to be back in the day, President's Day was a thing where there was an actual president, like George Washington Day. I don't remember. They've erased that from our minds with the neuralizer. But now they're like, just let's lump all this shit together. Too many Americans are not getting the work done. They're taking 2 8 days off, so they just lump all these presidents into one fucking day and just call it President Day. We're done. Honestly, the only presidents we should celebrate are the ones that are on bills, because the only ones you really remember, right? The old presidents on the money. Those are the ones that count. Anyway, I can hear Yoda downstairs complaining. For those of you who wanted to see a picture of Yoda, that was Yoda in the intro. His name is Yoda the Alien Pumper. Give you a couple of guesses what he's doing when he's pumping aliens. Anyway, today's episode is brought to you by, Balloon Fest or Balloon Gate. No fucking balloon stands a chance in the United States. Let me tell you, we are not playing around. We shoot the shit down. I'm still like, completely baffled by the fact that a $500,000 missile can actually, it's so sensitive that it can blow up by hitting a balloon. That's just, I don't know. I'd be scared freaking loading those things, to be honest. That's fucking crazy. Anyway, we got a crazy episode for you today. I have a 6-minute long clip of our buddy Stephen Greer on a show here on YouTube. I watched this interview over the weekend. I was like, wow, Stephen Greer has so much information. I got to share it with the folks because they got to know a little bit about what he's sharing, all the goodies that he's got. But we're going to start off first with our buddy Uri Geller. Now, Uri Geller is a really fascinating guy. I mean, the guy has some serious powers, let me tell you. If anyone can be classified as a metahuman or someone with superpowers, it's Uri Geller. He was on, I-24 News or something like that. And so Uri, he does his interview or whatever. Mind you, he's against blowing up balloons. Balloon lives matter. Put that in your hat. So Uri, he's upset about the whole balloon thing or whatever, but he's got reason to, right? Uri is kind of like Greer. They let him in on a secret, according to Uri. And the funny thing is that Uri and Greer share the same person in common when it comes to the UFO secret. Like literally, this guy has gone around showing all kinds of secrets to people and fucking up their lives and giving them nightmares about shit is what's going on. But we'll get into who that is in just a moment. But Yuri's on the show. He's holding a picture of an alien up. At the end of the interview, he mystifies everybody, right? Because he actually has one of the co-anchors draw something, puts it in his inside pocket at the beginning of the interview, and then at the end of the interview, Uri comes back, he draws the same thing, and bam, oh, of course, the mentalist, right? He actually drew the same thing. It was a picture of his son. They sketched. It looked exactly the same. you've got to see the interview. The link is in the description. But not only did Uri actually draw or sketch the same sun that the guy did, it's actually the same exact size. Like Uri actually holds it up in the same fucking size. I don't know how he does this. It's crazy. It's probably why his hair is so far back in his head, because all of that stuff goes right there where he's got no hair. I mean, it's got to be, I don't know. He's getting downloads. It's all I'm saying. You can literally download shit right into Yuri's head. He did it on the show. It's amazing. But, you know, Uri, I got some notes here, to be honest. But, you know, if you can find the interview on I-24 News, please go to it. Uri tells the story about the United States knowing about aliens. And basically he's saying, stop fucking shooting down whatever you see in space because you're going to fuck everything up. You guys know the real deal. He tells a story about a friend of him who gave him a message and say, hey, Uri, I know you know everything, but there is a guy at a secret base that wants you to meet him. Yeah, Yuri's like, blah, blah, blah. I don't really want to go. Who it is, who's this VIP, blah, blah. It turns out to be Werner von Braun, you know, the German-American rocket engineer, the guy that kind of helped things move along for NASA, right out of Germany. And so, you know, Yuri's family was devastated by the Germans, you know, during the war. But he says, you know, fuck it, let's go meet him. Upon meeting von Braun, according to Geller, he says that Warren von Braun produced a piece of metal out of a color that he's never seen before and a shape that was really weird. And then von Braun confirmed that this was what we call now metamaterial or alien metal from a crashed ship. I mean, really, Uri should have known that before he even fucking got there. I mean, he should have gotten that download already. But apparently, that's what went down. But then von Braun didn't stop there, according to this interview. Von Braun then continued to take Uri for a ride. He took him for a ride, and they went into some kind of subterranean vault. Like, look, there's the kind of shit you see in the movies. They went into some kind of concrete building that had a subterranean vault. It had a humongous, massive walk-in refrigerator. And apparently, what Uri saw inside of this vault made him faint. He passed out. He was gone. Out. Finito. But he won't say what he saw. But what he says is that the top officials of many countries, including Benjamin Netanyahu, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, they all know the secret. They all know what's going on in space, in our skies, what's flying over, what these tic tacs are. You know, they all are in this. They have a clue about what's going on. So he's upset. You cannot go in as cowboys shooting down all the damn balloons because you know for a fact they are not balloons. Some of these are genuine UFOs. So Uri gets on here and he warns publicly that the U.S. really should tread lightly when going out and shooting $500,000 missiles on balloons, because one of these days you're going to catch one that it's not. And right now the rumor is that the reason why the United States called out the search for those two UAPs, one over Lake Huron and over in Alaska, is because not because they can't find it, because apparently they use every single type of technology they could to sweep the ground. It's because they know what it is. It's not a balloon. So either they've already picked it up, they found it pretty quickly, or it never really crashed. It never landed on soil. It might have just kept on going. It is a crazy situation. But Yuri's like, hey, I've seen what it is. I've seen what these aliens are. I've seen what these metamaterials about. I've seen the stuff. I've talked to the man, von Warren, and he's told me. He's giving me the skinny on this. So Uri is sending out a warning that this is a bad idea. It's setting a bad precedent. And the other thing is that he's also warning that if other countries who don't know the secret, who are not part of this, old boys club of ufology, if they start shooting these things down, they could cause a situation that they will not be able to recover from. If it is indeed something from 4.24, it's a crazy situation indeed. I mean, listen, Uri might be right. If these UFOs are, let's say, interstellar, interdimensional travelers, and we start blowing these fuckers up or shooting them with our primitive weapons, we're screwed. We're literally screwed. It's not going to be a good thing for anyone. And, I can only say that it's very complicated, this ufology topic, especially today when now we're, becoming cowboys on this. Often in the past, I've said, hey, just shoot the thing down. If it's not mine, it's not yours, it's not theirs, and shoot it down then. We don't know who the fuck it is. It shouldn't be over our airspace. But what if Yuri's right? What if von Braun gave him information that's accurate? Like von Braun gave someone else information that we know very well. That takes us to our next topic, which is the idea that Roswell was not a crash, but more of a shot down vehicle. There is an interview on the internet, also linked in the description, of Stephen Greer talking about what happened in Roswell, New Mexico, back in the 40s. And I'm going to let him tell it. It is the first time I play an audio clip on this platform, so hopefully it works out. But this interview, this is all coming from the idea, right, that the NDAA that was signed recently, the National Defense Authorization Act, is calling for, folks to go back all the way down to the 40s, like 1945 or something like that, and look for evidence and research and report on UFOs going way back when, and then report next year sometime. I don't see that happening, but anyway, out of this, there was an interview I came across having to do with Michael Sandler and Greer. Those two gentlemen here on the screen, handsome devils, aren't they? In this interview, Greer talks about Roswell, of course. Of course, von Braun is in this interview as well. Von Braun is mentioned by Greer. Oh, Warren in here too. Warren had all the fucking secrets, let me tell you. Don't play around. So I'm going to try to play this. Hopefully it goes well. And we'll see. What exactly is it that von Braun shared with Greer, as he did with Geller? Maybe he got the names confused. I don't know.
Dive right into things. Let's go back to the 40s for a second. Let's go back to the 40s and 50s. And then I want to look at Hollywood for a brief moment. It's interesting that you call it, close encounters. So actually, the two key things that I want to talk about is, first off, what happened at Roswell? And then secondly, was the movie Close Encounters of, I believe, was the third kind, based on something true?
Yes. Well, Roswell was not the first, but it's the most famed crash retrieval of an interstellar vehicle. And it was downed by an advanced electromagnetic weapon that was hidden in a radar dome. We have an FBI document written to J. Edgar Hoover from a field agent saying so. And that, by the way, when we released it, has become the #1 viewed document on the FBI website by far. So that event led to a very intensive project headed up by Dr. Vannevar Bush, who had headed up the Manhattan Project, the atomic bomb project, to get to the bottom of the modus operandi, to quote a document from Canada, top secret. In other words, the mechanism of how these craft operate, their energy system, their propulsion system, teleportation systems, all of it. So began sort of the modern era in the 40s in the wake of, and of course in the backyard of the atomic bomb program, because at the time, people don't know this, Roswell was the only atomic bomb storage facility on Earth. No other nation had the bomb, and that was the only place where we stored ones that were operational. And that's why the ETs were so concerned, because it's not only something that could destroy all life on Earth, but as I mentioned, when you detonate one, it actually rips the fabric of the universe and is destructive way out beyond the Earth and beyond our solar system on these other dimensions. Because remember, we see the art physicists have described a certain level of the cosmos, and now they're describing, dark energy and dark matter and other realms and other dimensions. In reality, when you detonate an atomic bomb or hydrogen bomb, worse, there is a pulse that goes out that's beyond the speed of light. That's not just the electromagnetic pulses. So the ETs were very, very concerned about this, obviously.
Quick question: were the it's a big picture question that's going to take us off on a tangent. I want to bring us back. Are all ETs? They've made it through this time period. Are they operating more out of a place of benevolence or a place of love? Why wouldn't an ET, I'm not coming from a place of fear, but say, we need to stop this and we need to do whatever it takes so that the Earthlings don't hurt others?
That's a big problem. And because you're dealing with, contrary to the mythology of this issue. And by the way, I'd say the closest movie in Hollywood ever done on the subject that's accurate was Steven Spielberg's, I know his son, Max, The Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was a docudrama. And actually, when it was shown at the Reagan White House in the theater, I know 3 people who were there who stood up and said, at the end, Reagan stood up and said, there are very few people in this room who know how true to life this is. But now remember, Mr. Spielberg got access from files at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, where the remains of the craft and bodies from the Roswell event went. And he was also advised by Dr. J. Allen Hynek, who had been head of Project Blue Book, which was the Air Force research effort back in the 60s and whatnot on the UFO issue. And so many of those cases, even though it was a Hollywood production and fiction, it was based on actual events that had happened, including the telepathic part of it. And so that's quite interesting. Now, the reality is, anybody who has a scintilla of scientific knowledge will confirm this very quickly. If you are advanced enough to travel faster than the speed of light under controlled circumstances and go from one star system to here, which all of these civilizations are, they're not indigenous to our solar system. You have technologies that if you were hostile, you could terminate all human civilization in a nanosecond, literally. And they have not. Now, why have they not? Well, the Earth is considered a very cherished place. They see the future of humanity as being very potentially beautiful. They know there's many aspects of humans that are very spiritual, beautiful, creative. And this planet is actually what we call it a destination planet. It's so unbelievably beautiful and diverse in life that it's much loved in the cosmos, much loved. So they're being very patient, waiting for humans to mature and grow up. The problem is the timeline. When you reach the nuclear threshold and beyond, covert programs have technologies way beyond nuclear, significantly. And you haven't developed spiritually and socially to match the technology. That's when the technology can then become bent to the purpose of war, bent to the purpose of conflict and destruction, which is when a civilization is precisely at an inflection point where it either has to evolve to a peaceful civilization or it will terminate. And other worlds have had that happen. There's good evidence that happened on Mars. Ancient civilizations on Earth may have come this way before us and reached the nuclear threshold and not become peaceful and were destroyed. There's reason to believe in the Vedas that there were accounts that in India that such an event took place that wiped out civilization. So these civilizations have been around for hundreds of thousands, millions of years. They know the trajectory. They know that we need a course correction. So, I'm an emergency and trauma doctor, and I left my career to fix this problem once I was asked to brief the director of the CIA and the president on this some years ago, and found out that the legal constitutional government of the United States has no control over these covert beyond black projects.
There you go. Completely nuts. This is, he goes on and he tells these stories, old Greer, and there's a lot more. There's an hour and 40 minutes of Greer just going to town on what he believes happened at Roswell. And then you heard it there, an EMF. We literally took an EMF weapon that was over at Roswell and we shot down the UFO. That's the history I didn't know about. I don't know about you guys, but apparently that's what it is. And then we captured all these little guys. We killed 4 of them, kept 1, and then we tortured the fuck out of him, according to Greer. But why would they then be peace-loving with us and talk about the beauty of humanity? Where the fuck's the beauty in that? Like he literally said, we just massacred those fuckers, and but they love us. We're beautiful. I don't know. Now, it's an hour and 40 minutes of Greer, talking about all kind of things, serious disclosure, his company, CE5 and stuff like that. And they end the interview by doing a kind of like a meditation to reach out to our alien folks. Now, recently on the Roswell Daily Record, they talked about the NDAA and the government going back to take a look-see at what happened at Roswell. They don't need to look back at anything. They just need to go to Greer and pull up that damn FBI document that he was talking about. They need to go pull that up because apparently the government wrote in there that they actually shot it down using EMF weapon. And it was because there were nuclear arms that were being kept at Roswell. Maybe the Daily Record should look into that. Bring Greer over there and hunt the thing down. It's just amazing to me that so many people know what happened at Roswell, yet no one has a clue. This Balloon Gate, it's going crazy. We'll have to see what happens with the NDAA. And like I said, the interview with Greer is in the description, so check that out. The interview with Uri Geller is also in the description. You can check out bits and pieces of that, unless you know how to reach I-24 News. But both gentlemen had a fascinating story, all that originate from folks related to scientists that became part of NASA towards the end of the war, that helped NASA be the great, fantastic organization it is today. Apparently, the normal people are the ones who are not part of this story. And unfortunately, we may never. Now, in this interview with Greer, you are going to hear things about interdimensional beings and how he's contacted them, how they got his back, basically, in case shit goes wrong. I've always wondered how folks who know so much about the government and have so many documents are not taken out. Because, listen, there's a negative side to all of this, right? And there's people who will take you out if they have to. But it's just weird to me that nothing's really ever happened to him. And he says he's got backup. He literally has interdimensional alien friends that got his back in case things go awry. So, I mean, shit, that's the kind of posse I want. Anyway, this is the end of this particular episode. If you guys came onto the YouTube, please, thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Join us. And if you guys on the podcast and have not gone to YouTube yet, join, subscribe, hit that notification button. Like I said, probably for the rest of the year, it's not going to be entirely scheduled, but you'll get a notification when this podcast goes up either way. So please, I see the Norm is on there, Mr. Asgardian himself. Yep, Norm did not get a seat at the table. Neither did we. I thank you guys for listening and watching. Be sure to share, like, subscribe, all the other craziness that you have to do to survive on the tubes. Laters.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. wanna be, you wanna be, you wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to friends, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. I don't give a damn, I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn, you talk way too much, I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn, 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 I don't give a damn. You're mad at me for not giving you comfort. You say that I'm away so much and now you don't feel the way you felt when we were younger. But that's okay for me, 'cause I don't give a damn, I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn, you talk way too much,